नमस्कार, सुप्रभात। कल रात को कैसी नींद आई सबको? आवाज नहीं आ रही? अच्छी आई तो पक्का अच्छी आई? तो जोश हाई क्यों नहीं है फिर? हाई है? ओके। कितने लोग हिंदी में कंफर्टेबल हैं, समझ में आती है, और कितने लोग कंफर्टेबल नहीं है? कंफर्टेबल वाले पहले हाथ उठाओ प्लीज। मेजॉरिटी ऑफ यू अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी, राइट? जो समझना है प्लीज डू लेट मी नो, मैं उसको ट्रांसलेट कर दूंगी। चलिए, जोश भी आया है और नींद भी अच्छी आई है, और एक अच्छी गुड मॉर्निंग के साथ आज हम शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है UTI म्यूचुअल फंड इन पार्टनरशिप विद CNBC आवाज प्रेजेंट्स उड़ान RV कॉलेज ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग में। उड़ान एक ऐसी जर्नी है जहां क्यूरोसिटी जो है वो क्रिएटिविटी में बदलती है, और जो आइडियाज है वो एक इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करते हैं। ये प्लेटफॉर्म है उन यंग माइंड्स के लिए जो सोचना चाहते हैं डेफिनेटली कुछ नया, और साथ ही साथ कुछ अलग भी जो इस दुनिया में हमने पहले नहीं देखा। RV कॉलेज यानी कि आप लोगों का कॉलेज, हमेशा से हमने देखा है कि इनोवेशन और साथ ही साथ एक्सीलेंस का भी सेंटर रहा है। यहाँ से निकलते हैं आप जैसे लीडर्स और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर्स जो इमेजिनेशन के साथ इस दुनिया को बदलने की चाह रखते हैं और इस दुनिया के अंदर लीड भी करते हैं। इसके साथ ही साथ एक बड़ा थैंक यू टू आवर UTI म्यूचुअल फंड जो हर समय इंडिया के फ्यूचर में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, एक यंग माइंड एट अ टाइम। देखिए, आप लोगों के साथ साथ हमारे साथ जो CNBC आवाज़ की वर्चुअल ऑडियंस है वो भी जुड़ गई है CNBC आवाज़ के YouTube चैनल पर। तो एक बार उन्हें भी हमारी तरफ से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। और मैं आपको बता दूं दैट यू आर वॉचिंग UTI म्यूचुअल फंड इन पार्टनरशिप विद CNBC आवाज़ प्रेजेंट्स उड़ान। अब चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं, और काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो हमने लाइनअप में आज रखी है जो आपको आउट ऑफ द सिलेबस काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें समझाने वाली है। काफ़ी सारी नई नई चीज़ें जो है आज आप इन्वेट करने वाले हैं। तो शुरुआत करते हैं आज के पहले एक्साइटिंग सेशन के साथ। वो एक्साइटिंग सेशन है जहाँ पे जिस चीज़ के लिए जो बेंगलुरु है काफ़ी ज़्यादा फेमस है, वो है यहाँ पे हर एक घर से नई नई स्टार्टअप स्टोरीज जो है वो हमें बनती हुई दिखाई देती है। तो आज का जो हमारा पहला सेशन है वो भी स्टार्टअप स्टोरीज ही है। ये कहानी है उन लोगों की जिन्होंने सपना तो देखा लेकिन सपने को पूरा भी किया। एक आइडिया उनके दिमाग में आया, लेकिन वो आइडिया केवल आइडिया तक नहीं रहा, वो आइडिया से एक एंटरप्राइज तक का जो सफ़र है वो भी पूरा होता हुआ हमने देखा। और इस इंस्पायरिंग डिस्कशन को लीड करेंगे नन अदर देन CNBC आवाज़ से विपिन भट्ट, और उनके साथ 3 कमाल के एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हमारे साथ और हैं। अदिति अवस्थी, फाउंडर एम्बाइब, मनोज शंकर हमारे साथ शॉर्टली जो हैं वो जुड़ने वाले हैं, ही इज को फाउंडर ऑफ Nemo.Care, एंड सचिन, फाउंडर ऑफ फ्रूट्स गुड। लेट्स वेलकम देम ऑल विद बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज।
Hello and good morning, all of you. It's good afternoon, so no, it's still good morning. And sorry for being little late. Auditorium में बैठ के थोड़ी बोरियत होती है, लेकिन अब कोशिश करेंगे कि ना हो. So let's start with this. जैसा कंचन ने कहा कि interesting, but I will try to make it interesting. Okay, and Hindi and English का mix रहेगा तो चलेगा? That will be fine. Okay. So startup is something which is related to Bengaluru. When we think of startups, we think of Bengaluru, as Kanchan says कि यहाँ हर घर से एक idea निकलता है, and the most critical part of a startup is an idea, because there are many businesses in this world, but startup is unique about their ideas, and that is why they are different from others. तो शुरुआत में आप तीनों से मेरी यही सवाल होगा कि आइडिया, बिकॉज द आइडिया इज समथिंग विच gives the solution to a problem. Aditi, starting with you, Imbibe, edutech startup, and वैसे बहुत सारे हैं देश के अंदर, बट सबका अपना अपना एक कहानी है कि क्यों वो स्टार्ट हुआ. वैसे तो हमने भी इंटरनेट पे आपकी एक कहानी पढ़ी, बट मुझे नहीं पता वो कितनी सच है और कितनी नहीं. वो IIT वाली कहानी, सम केमिस्ट्री पेपर्स एंड एक्सेट्रा. बट आपको ये आइडिया कहाँ से आया? कहाँ से आपको लगा कि ये कोई गैप है जो मुझे फिल करना है?
मैं थोड़ी नटखट होके आपसे डिसएग्री कर सकती हूँ?
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल.
मुझे लगता है कि आइडिया से पहले चुल आती है. एक ऐसी फीलिंग कि बॉस की शक्ल नहीं देखनी, एक ऐसी फीलिंग कि हाउ गुड इज गुड और हाउ बिग इज बिग की डेफिनेशन अब कोई हमें नहीं बताएगा, हम बना के रखेंगे. अब वो कितनी बनी है अलग बात है, बट सबसे पहले बिफोर द आइडिया कम्स अनदर 4-letter word called the urge. And then the urge seeks the idea. And then the idea, you try to rationalize with friends and family. And some people will say it's good, some people will say it's bad. But then the urge gets so strong that you just choose the idea. As far as the idea is concerned, education and healthcare were two spaces I chose. Because for me, kuch kar dikhane ki jo chul thi, always started with human impact. और मुझे हेल्थ केयर थोड़ा सा स्कैरी लगता था, मुझसे इंजेक्शन टॉलरेट नहीं होता अभी भी. सो आई वेंट टूवर्ड्स एजुकेशन. और जब कोई आप एक आइडिया चूज़ करते हो, एक स्पेस चूज़ करते हो, तो अपने अनुभव साथ में जुड़ जाते हैं. तो माई फादर, आई लॉस्ट हिम इन 2020 एंड ही साइंड अ सर्टिफिकेट दैट ही इज़ फिजिकली हैंडीकैप्ड टू गेट मी एडमिशन इन द ब्रांच दैट वुड मेक मी सक्सेसफुल इन थापर यूनिवर्सिटी. And that is that feeling of, seeing your IRS officer, dashing father who had a love marriage, acknowledge that weakness just to get you admission, was an emotional hit. And I think that fueled the passion. I hope I've answered your question.
And that is how the idea of Imbibe.
That is how the idea of Imbibe came. कि किसी को भी सदमा या ठेस नहीं लगनी चाहिए, किसी का आत्मसम्मान कम नहीं होना चाहिए एक रैंक से, एक नंबर से. Also, US में इंसान तराशा जाता है. इंडिया में एक रस्सी रखी जाती है और बोला जाता है, क्या तुम इसके ऊपर कूद सकते हो? कैन यू जंप अबव दिस लेवल? कैन यू जंप अबव दिस लेवल? एंड दैट्स हाउ वी डू सिलेक्शन. सो द कंपनी वाज कॉल्ड इंडिया विजुअल लर्निंग, the ability to create an individualistic India where choices power your dreams and not just a push जो भारतीय रेल की proverbial आपको धकेल देती है. So that was the idea.
Interesting. तो अदिति का कहना है कि वो एक अर्ज होनी चाहिए अंदर, नॉट जस्ट एन आइडिया, बिकॉज आइडिया शायद हम में से सबको आ सकता है, लेकिन उसको एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए आपको वो अर्ज चाहिए. एंड दैट इज द वे. नाइस, गुड स्टोरी. अच्छा, आगे बढ़े उससे पहले, सिंस वी आर इन द इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज, एंड हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू वांट टू बिकम एन स्टार्टअप? कितने लोगों ने सोचा है कि आगे जाके स्टार्टअप करेंगे? रेज योर हैंड्स. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. एंड रेस्ट ऑफ द पीपल? Okay, so how many of you want to join any job, either in PSU or any other company or some multinational, whatever? Raise your hands. तो बाकी लोग क्या करेंगे? कुछ नहीं करेंगे क्या? कुछ तो करेंगे ना? या कोई और चीज है जो मैं मिस कर रहा हूं? So there are 7-8 startups. There are hardly 10-15 people who want to do job. Then बाकी क्या करेंगे? तो आपके प्रिंसिपल साहब से बात करनी पड़ेगी अभी कि क्या हो रहा है. एनीवेज, तो आई थिंक जो स्टार्टअप नहीं करेंगे वो कुछ ना कुछ ज़रूर करेंगे. एंड वो भी बात ठीक है. हो सकता है यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसे निकले जो कहें कि क्या फालतू का सवाल है, हम तो अपना पैशन फॉलो करना चाहते हैं. दैट इंक्लूड दैट ऑल्सो. बट कुछ ना कुछ तो आपको अपनी आजीविका चलाने के लिए, टू अर्न समथिंग फॉर योर लाइवलीहुड, करना ही पड़ेगा. चलिए आगे चलते हुए उसकी बात करते हैं, क्योंकि आगे आपके लिए एक ऐसा सेशन आने वाला है जिसमें सारी बात पैसों की ही होगी. सो वेल, मनोज, your roots also from IIT Hyderabad, right? But आपका बिल्कुल ही एक दूसरा, it's about new, छोटे बच्चों को लेकर एक स्टार्टअप है. It's entirely different from what Aditi is doing. तो वो आइडिया कैसे स्ट्राइक किया कि बिल्कुल न्यू बॉर्न्स के लिए मुझे कुछ करना है?
Sure. Just a precursor to that, I'm very much a Bangalore boy. Grew up in the locality, studied in the neighboring college. So my route started from here, the hub of innovation, learned from the engineering capital of the country. Like this question was there for me when I joined my campus. Going a little back, I came into engineering to crack a tier 1 job. I was very clear about that when I took my seat, went into college. But it was sessions like this that kind of changed my trajectory towards entrepreneurship. That was the first bit. Particularly this journey with NemoCare, I knew I wanted to do something in the healthcare space because throughout engineering, I was driven by this fact saying that if you want to do something impactful, there were few sectors. Healthcare was kind of the one that attracted me the most because of the exposure I had. Most of my projects, my final theses, everything was in the biomedical domain. I studied electronics and telecommunication, but mostly in the biomedical domain. So there was that inclination towards that. But the tougher thing was saying, how do you solve a problem or what problem to solve? The easier thing for me as an engineer was what to build. Sorry, how to build. The what to build was something that I was looking out for, and that's when I went to the Center for Healthcare Entrepreneurship at IIT Hyderabad, where a very unique course where we shadowed doctors. Designers, engineers went and shadowed doctors to understand what are the problems in healthcare. A typical 6-month-long immersion process. We knew we wanted to build in a population which was vulnerable, the ones which needed it the most. Newborns was the go-to because they can't even express what their problem is. They can cry, but nobody really understands what that is. So when we shadowed this journey, we started realizing saying where a baby is born determines the baby's chance of survival. This was very alarming for us. When we went to the rural settings, they were putting all the efforts, but there was a heavy load. There was not enough equipments that were available. There was a parity of healthcare. If the same premature baby was born maybe in a developed setting, the baby would have a higher chance. So this health inequality was what kind of triggered us saying, can we use engineering and design to solve this problem? And that led us to starting the journey of NemoCare. It was understanding a problem from the field.
Okay, nice one. Now, Sachin, you also have the technical background, and I think you did your studies from Munich University.
Right.
So now you're going to a very entirely different field of with the roots good. You went into the agriculture, and then so do you have any agriculture background? Do you understand what agriculture is before going into that?
Right. Thank you for the quick introduction. But however, I also studied in RVC.
Arey wah, taliyan.
However, but it was in 2009, 2007, probably in Chamundi Hostel, where we used to stay in third years. So a lot of my friends used to study for UPSC. Okay. That's where we got exposed to different types of ideas about socialism, capitalism, how do we solve, how to use our time in coming days, and those kind of things. Some of them are IAS officers already here in Karnataka and outside. So there, I was pretty convinced about, based on the strengths that each people we had. About myself, I was pretty convinced kind of capitalism with solving problems would be the ideal solution. Yeah, of course. After that, I started working for Tata Consulting Engineers in Jamshedpur, worked for 3 years. There, we got exposed to a lot of traveling around East India, a very beautiful place. So there, kind of exposure towards the challenges, especially the rural and tribal India had. We got exposed, especially because of the projects that normally happens in tribal power plants. Basically, we used to design power plants for TCE. So yeah, so that's where it all started. Then yeah, QM Munich happened during my thesis. Carbon emission was a primary aspect of my research, especially seeing agriculture impact SMEs, some large-scale industries. When I went back to Germany, so the idea was to explore these data. So this data suggested there is a market inequality, which leads to around 28 deaths of farmers every single day in India. So it's kind of a serious thing, but of course, it's a huge responsibility for even the governments as well. So we thought, why not we try it? Me and my friends there, we started out exploring ideas about how do we deal with it, and then we came here to University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore, GKVK, Gandhi Krishi Vigyana Kendra. So that's where it started. That's how the idea spun off, and then we worked particularly with maize, mainly because I also wanted to stay with my parents. We will stay in central part of Karnataka called Shimoga. So we chose maize. Maize is also a commercial crop around the world, so it's easy to scale. The tech, if we build some tech to make it more easy negotiation aspect for farmers and buyers. Yeah, eventually the ideas, after the idea, the practicality took over. Like my fellow.
Yes. So the important thing is that one should have a very keen eye for a problem. First to identify a problem, that there is a scope, यहाँ पर कुछ कमी है और इसको हम address कर सकते हैं. Then there comes the idea, and after that जो अदिति ने कहा कि उसको करने का urge भी होना चाहिए. Now Aditi, I used to do one show on my channel, CNBC-Awaaz Startup Nation, which is not running anymore. So I did around 150 episodes, if I'm not wrong. So each startup in every episode. So 150 startup I covered. And I never heard about those startup, almost 110 after doing that show. So it's what I want to say, that it's easy to start a startup, but to execute an idea and took it to a level where it become a company or something which can survive, it is very difficult. अब यहाँ से आगे की जर्नी आपकी समझनी है कि आपने आइडिया निकाल लिया, आपके पास अर्ज भी था, but what takes to make that idea happen, and secondly to got it in a sustainable way, in a way that it took forward, it just can't die in between.
It takes a lot of effort. And I think let me start with outcomes for Imbibe, okay? 13-year journey. By God's grace, we were able to have the capital to sustain the 13-year journey. Raised more than $200 million, reached 200 million students, 14,000 public schools, and successfully merged into Reliance Industries, with 200 people from Imbibe joining to carry forward the mission. So getting from one person, I like to say, a girl in a Kali Pili in Bombay with a business plan, reaching this place, I feel part is an act of providence, okay? Because you can feel that you do everything, but I think that when you have pure intention, and this might sound very spiritual and maybe like, what is she talking about? Why is she not talking about AI and data and the patents she's filed and all of that stuff? I think persistence and just going for it is the most important ingredient for any company that is built to last. The second thing is owning your responsibility as a founder and CEO to keep the narrative to your shareholders, to your employees, to everybody around you, to keep it going, because it takes a village to create impact. And that narrative should yield capital, honest effort, good engineering, good customer outreach, and many, many other things. So I feel like it's not just, there is no method. There is method and madness together. In 2018, when we sold majority to Jio, it was a very conscious...
Just to interrupt you in between, you said money initially, the capital. So for any startup, two things. One is the funding, and other is any kind of technical support or maybe some kind of mentoring. Are these the two things which are required? Because most of the startup to whom I have worked with ever, they're just thinking of two things. One is money, koi unko aake paisa de de, and other is valuation. So the 90% is game about valuation and the funding, or it's something else?
Sir, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि money and valuation, you don't have to chase it all.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going back to my original point, and guys, trust me. So let me give you a very interesting stat. I raised $1 million in seed funding without incorporating the company. So I incorporated the company to receive the seed funding check from my angel investors. Okay? I wasn't chasing seed funding. I was looking for a job to bootstrap the company on the side. But I was so passionate about the problem that I researched 150 global education companies and interviewed 15,000 stakeholders, first principals, across 20 cities in India to become the de facto expert in a sector I didn't understand. And when you meet an investor who's passionate about that space and they're looking to deploy capital, that's providence. But convincing them that you will use their money well because you have already understood the pitfalls to the largest extent and present a thesis that comes from that hard work, which comes from persistence, passion, and the reason why you do the company. Money will come. It comes. So I think the third ingredient I would add, forget about valuation. Valuation is this. All your financial textbooks are wrong. It's just a discussion between two people in a room with a lot of eye contact. Okay? So I think putting the hard work inspired by the will to make an impact will make you go the distance and outperform anybody else in the room chasing the same sector. If I go back to my business school degree, if you want to choose a space to work in, and I know the question that Sir asked just now was, how many of you want to do a startup? If I reframe the question, if financials was not a constraint, how many of you would want to build something? What is the answer to that? Could you raise your hands? Because everybody wants to own a piece of their sky. Am I right, guys? Yes? So don't worry about the money. Focus on why you want to build, what you want to build, and be the best damn person in that space. And things will start to happen. Choose the right market, build the narrative, do the hard work. And Providence provides.
I think आपने वो दुखती रग पे हाथ रखा. सबसे ज़्यादा हाथ अभी उठे कि if they are provided with something, they will want to do. Right. Manoj, I just know कि Nemo Care से पहले you made some device for specially able children with autism or something. What happened to that idea?
So, I mean, this is something we built out of our college. That was my final thesis project. This is back in 2014. So, that was a time when startup was not a norm. It was not the sexy career choice that we had. Even now, sitting in this room, I just kind of recalibrated saying it's still not the sexiest option or the most sought after option. It is still an option, but not there yet. But the time that we were there in, background is we did build this. We were engineers. We were mentored by NSR Cell at IIM Bangalore. We were taken to B-Plan contests. We were representing India on a global stage. But we didn't know what to do further. And there was also, the biggest learnings I had was from that journey in the sense saying, you need team members who have alignment, who want to take this journey on with you. We had slight differences in the sense saying, some wanted to do a MS, use that on their resume. Some wanted to go for an MBA, use the B plans for their resume. I was stuck behind saying I wanted to start something. Exactly. I mean, I was in this audience when if someone gave me that option saying if financial constraints are not there and you want to build, I would have taken it with, grabbed everything that was their opportunity. I think it was just the timing when we did. And when we said hardware AI 10 years ago, my final thesis went on to a publication, a patent, but we spoke AI, machine learning. We're talking about a decade ago when it was still not the mainstream thing to go to. We're not talking about edge computing. We're not talking about wearables. It was slightly ahead of its time. But the learnings that we had, and it started with a business plan on paper for an engineer to just put its thoughts into a business model canvas. I think these were learnings which I still carry forward with me. And I think that's what journeys help you. As in when you just take the first step, that was my first step. It started with, say, rapid prototyping, building, testing. We actually went down to Nimans as an engineering student. We got ethical clearance. And today, when we run it as a business, this has been my foundation to start off or carry forward efforts in EmoCare because I knew how to take it to a clinical validation. And I had very strong clinical advisors and mentors right from my college days. I graduated out of PESIT. We had very strong connects or mentors who guided us. And I see that fire in most students today as well, saying, if I want to do it. And this was typically when we came out and when I went to a higher education center, this is what PhD students were doing as a part of their coursework. But an undergrad to go get a clinical ethical clearance, when look back, we really felt saying we were fortunate. We had the right guidance. We had the environment building in an Indian context, and we were fortunate to be out of a Bangalore setting where everything was in place. It was calls that were made, introductions. People believe in us saying, yes, we can bring change. Where doctors talk to us, and now being in the healthcare sector, the most valuable asset is getting a doctor's time and asset. I think that was the learnings that picked up for me and has been the foundation for me to build what I have built today. But it was just a little early for its time, but somewhere in the future, maybe it will come back into life.
Right. So, Sachin, now, Roots Goods is doing good, as far as I know. But still, every company needs money to survive and to run. And now you choose such a niche where your customer may be farmers or some people like that, जहाँ उतना awareness नहीं है, वो हो सकता है उतना tech advance भी नहीं है. So how difficult for you to establish yourself and to convince those people, okay, I have something for you, you can pay me for that.
Right. So our focus was farmers. You're absolutely to the point, and especially the maize farmers. I'll give you the numbers. Maize farmers own around 3 acres on an average in India, around India. So which means they are small holders, and this is a arid and semi-arid regions, dry regions of the country parts. Which means they have around 60,000 per annum profit to run the whole family for the whole year. So that's the numbers that we have. So the challenge was to, when we go and talk to them, there was no way that they're going to give you 1 rupee because there's no 1 rupee even there to spend on the tech. So we started to shift to large-scale farmers in maize. They have their own challenges, and then there's a lot of local hoarding of maize, which is sold in the market with an up price. So that's the second problem we have encountered. The successful one turned out to be the model of FPOs, Farmer Producer Organizations. In a quick background about FPOs, the group of farmers come together, they form a company, and then they run it as a company. These are called as FPOs mainly because they don't have to pay the taxes. There are some rebates in terms of government is concerned. It's a company by itself. So there are educated or tech savvy or tech adaptable CEOs, directors. So they picked up this tech. And after that, we started choosing those FPOs through the universities and NABARD, which refinance them for their salaries till 3 years. So we chose only FPOs who are showing positive numbers. Yeah.
Okay. So now we are coming to the conclusion of the session, and I go for a golden advice. So think in yourself, just 2 or 3 lines of golden advice. But before that, Aditi, one question for you. For that also, I need a shorter answer. In recent time, edutech startup have not a very good scenario in India. We saw the companies and the big names crashing down. What is happening there, and how you are surviving?
Sir, I think that there are a lot of edtech companies that were built for a profit motive, and they were not built for a learning outcomes motive. So what we did, we went the other way. When we partnered with Jio, we basically hunkered down and spent 85% of our net capital outlay, which was less than 1,500 crores, lowest in the market, on building pure technology and product and content IP that is truly differentiated, world-class, and works in schools. So we went and actually did the pilots, proved it to Jio, very, very discerning, very intelligent partner, and then transitioned it to them after proving that we can deliver this world-class education in less than 100 rupees per student per year. So I think if you focus on product, see, I want to just admire my fellow colleague, co-panelists here, agriculture, healthcare, education. It's like pushing a wall, okay, for the longest time. These are very, very high inertia sectors. So focusing on product, leading to POC impact, leading to amplification is much better than spending 20,000 crores on marketing, burning out, and not being able to justify the revenue.
Can I add one thing? Just follow up with what Mr.
Quickly.
Shankar said. Quickly, absolutely. So the importance of having mentors shaped my decisions and also the companies as well. So mentorship programs from TU Munich, for example, they have wonderful mentorship program from alumni and also outside, both. So when I was just studying in the 6 months in Munich, so we got a couple of mentors, and every college probably could leverage on those kind of networks and open it. Only, of course, you don't have to pay to mentors, right? So only the interested people come on board, and then they try to help you. They also learn in the process. So in that context, I think I try to cover the audience as well. So that's mentorship program. If we start in our college here in RVC, would be great as well. Thank you.
Right. So now that one piece of golden advice from each of you, starting from you, Aditi.
I'll give
to
it
these kids.
2-word answer. Okay. build something. Just build something. Lovable.dev, you can make your own website in 5 minutes. Okay, Emergent, you can launch an app. For everything else, you know the regular tools. It doesn't matter if you're in a job or you're in whatever you're doing or you're faculty at RV College of Engineering. This is the time to build something.
Right. Sachin? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, my biggest, giveaway for y'all is saying, this is a phase that's never going to come back. You have an opportunity to try something. Even if you fail, it is going to go back as a strong point in a resume. Founders are looking for someone who's tried something at least. So I'm saying even if you try and fail, you always have it as an experience. I'll go on a resume. But trust me, you have a huge safety net when you're a student. There are a lot of programs, there are a lot of government initiatives, prototyping funds, programs, Smart India hackathons, everything. You never know where it's going to lead you to, but just be open, and every opportunity that you get to learn, just take it. I think if I look back, that is one thing that's got me to this point is I was just open. I didn't know where it would take me, what experience would lead me to what, but I just went with the flow, and learning is an ongoing process. We're learning even today, and a lot from our panelists and folks sitting here.
Right.
So my quick suggestions would be based on my experience, and before going to take a kind of risk which you kind of enjoy the journey, that kind of risk you want to take it as build it as a company, probably spend a couple of years with the industry. Otherwise, anyway, the startup will teach you that 2 years anyway, which might be slightly difficult. But if you earn a bit and understand the importance of cash in hand, or how the cash shapes up our life, that is very, very critical, at least for me. So that would mostly help you as well. Thanks.
Right, boys and girls, quickly now. Ab apne haath khade karo. How many of you want to do a startup now? Thank you very much. Thank you. And big round of applause to these three and all of you. Thank you.
थैंक यू आप चारों का, काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंसाइटफुल सेशन था ये, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें, काफ़ी सारा करेज यहाँ पे सीखने को मिला। अदिति ने यहाँ पे एक वर्ड का इस्तेमाल किया, दैट इज़ परसिस्टेंस। एक वर्ड यहाँ पे मैं भी जोड़ना चाहूँगी, परसिस्टेंट के साथ साथ प्रेजेवरेंस, कि कितने देर तक, कितने लंबे समय तक आप उस काम को करने की क्षमता रखते हैं। और डेफिनेटली स्टार्टअप की शुरुआत करने में एक डर तो लगता है, लेकिन एक काफ़ी ज़्यादा फेमस कोट है विंस्टन चर्चिल का, सक्सेस इज़ नॉट फाइनल, फेलियर इज़ नॉट फेटल, बट इट्स द करेज दैट definitely counts, and you have to continue, you have to work hard to make that happen, to bring the change into this entire world. तो चलिए, काफ़ी सारी ये बातें हो गई, आगे बढ़ते हैं और अब बात करते हैं किसकी? पैसे की आवाज़ तो तेज़ आनी चाहिए ना फिर। आपको नहीं चाहिए पैसा? तो फिर तेज़ बोलो ना, किसकी बात करते हैं? ओके, अब बात करते हैं काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक की, जो सबका गोल होता है। और क्या होता है सबका गोल? पैसा कमाना। लेकिन उसके साथ साथ आप लोगों का एक गोल और होना चाहिए कि किस तरीके से अपनी फिनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस को पूरा किया जा सके। अपने सपनों को पूरा करने के लिए ज़रूरी है काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्मार्ट बनना। स्मार्ट के साथ साथ जो इस टाइम पे आपकी एज है, काफ़ी सही एज है, तो इस एज में आप अपनी जो अर्ली इन्वेस्टमेंट है उसकी भी सही प्लानिंग कर सकते हैं। और अर्ली इन्वेस्टमेंट से कितने सारे फ़ायदे होते हैं अभी आपको वो बहुत ही जल्द समझ में आने वाला है। इस पे लाइट डालने के लिए हमारे साथ है मिस्टर सिद्धार्थ दास, जोनल हेड UTI म्यूचुअल फंड। सो लेट्स वेलकम हिम।
Mic is on. Thanks. So thank you very much, Kanchan, for the introduction. I think you did half the presentation of starting early. So that's key takeaways of the presentation. But it's always great to have a young audience. Gives a lot of energy. We take away a lot of energy from such a young audience, and good to see so many participants here. And after that very passionate session, I think it was a wonderful session to have young entrepreneurs on the stage describe their experiences to all of you, where a lot of learnings can be had. I think we're going to have a session on finance, as Kanchan mentioned. It may be a little boring, but honestly, one thing about finance, it should be boring. Too much of excitement in finance, you may fall flat on your face. Okay. So having said that, my presentation's title is called FIRE. Okay. So what do you understand by FIRE? Anybody? What do you understand by FIRE? It's an acronym. Sorry? Pushpa. That's a good one. So yeah, so I'll come to that FIRE in a couple of slides, and I hope this would be a presentation where you will be getting a lot of life skills, how we need to manage, because managing finances is a very, very important life skill that we all need to imbibe in ourselves, right? It's good to work, good to earn money, but it's also important how to manage the money. So all of you are getting educated right now, right? All of you are engineering students, you are getting educated. What is the education going to lead you to? What is it going to create for you? What will it mean to you? It's going to be a means to all of you. It's going to be a means to probably follow a passion, okay? It might be a means to get into a profession. Education would be a means to get into, might be a business that you want to start or even join an existing business, or it might be for a simple employment. So it might be for simple employment, right? So the education is going to prepare you for various aspects of your future. You may call it career, you may call it work, or whatever the case may be. So education should help you do your passion. It might give you an opportunity to set up a business, or it might help you in terms of profession, or it might also get you some employment, right? At the same time, what are the passions that you may have, right? You may want to get into photography. You may want to get into sports. You may want to get into, something like the fine arts, maybe into, modeling, right? These are passions. But passions also require money. To follow your passions, you need money as well, right? What are the professions that you may get into? You may become an architect, you may become a doctor, you may become a lawyer, right? So your education is going to prepare you for all of this. If you look at employment, there are various employment opportunities. Standing in front of you is a salesperson. My colleague here is in the marketing team. I have another colleague here who is in the finance team, right? So you may get into a profession. You may also start up your business. You may do a trading, or you may join a family-owned business, okay? After doing all of this, the idea is that you create for yourself which should help you in your future requirements of managing your life, okay? So that reservoir is what we are looking at to create in our working life, which will help us manage our cash flows in the future, right? The bigger the reservoir, the faster we are able to create the reservoir, we are able to achieve FIRE. And what is FIRE? Financial independence and retire early. Good? So we know the meaning of FIRE now. So that's number one. I hope you guys don't mind, because you're just about to start your work and I'm talking about retirement. But yeah, everybody wants to, create a reservoir and try and retire early, right? So financial independence and retire early is the acronym. FIRE is the acronym for that. So how do we create wealth? What are the methods of creating wealth? It's actually very boring, right? As I said, creating wealth is actually a boring subject. You have to invest an amount. You have to invest it regularly for a long period of time. You need to ensure that money is working for you, okay? That money works for you and you get into a corpus. You create a reservoir for yourself, right? So just to give you an illustrative example, you are investing, let's say 15,000 rupees per month. You invest every month for 25 years, which is a very long period of time. You let that money work for you. How do you let the money work for you? The money does compounding for you, right? I think in class 8 or 10, I think class 8 or 9, we have learned about the compound interest formula, right? Amount is equal to principal into 1 plus r by t raised to power, 1 plus r by 100 raised to power t. So you let the money compound for you at a particular rate of. Just for illustration, we have taken 12%. And this compound will get you to about 2.8 crores in a period of 25 years, right? So this is an illustrative example just to give you an input as to how compounding works, right? However, what is important is, and this is a data that I have taken to a lot of my distributors, a lot of my clients, how many of us have actually done 15,000 per month for 25 years and got to 2.8 crores? Very few. The actual reality is we are in the mutual fund industry. We have done a lot of sessions on financial planning. Actually, very few people have actually followed this and come to a corpus of 2.8 crores. What is the reason for that? The reason is simple: we lack discipline. We lack discipline. We wait for 25 years. There'll be some event which might happen, which might force us to pull out the money. We will not allow the money to work, grow for us, and therefore we will not get to the corpus of 2.8 crores.
फायर से क्या समझ आया? क्या आवाज नहीं आ रही?
Louder.
यही समझ आया? और क्या मतलब है फायर का? हाँ, तो वो एक एक्शन के साथ तो बताओ. चलिए कंटिन्यू.
Thanks for that, Kanchan. So, as I said, there are three fundamentals of finance that one needs to understand how to create wealth. Begin as early. The power of compounding, because compounding is something that all of us need to be cognizant of, how it works, when it works. I'll come to that in a bit. Power of compounding is another very, very important aspect of creating wealth. And the third aspect of creating wealth is that of ensuring that you keep track of one thing that eats away your money, which is inflation. Inflation is something which will eat away your money, eat away your corpus. One needs to keep track of that because that is something which will impact your final corpus. Begin early. I think enough has been said about beginning early, but I'm going to give you some examples just to illustrate how beginning as early as possible is going to help you in your wealth creation journey. Now let's take an illustrative example. Let's say a person is born and we are looking at year 0, and we look at retirement, let's say at about 60, when most of us would aspire to retire after generating a reasonable amount of corpus, right? If you look at this period of 60 years and if you look at a compounding rate of 9% at an investment of only 10,000 rupees per month over 60 years, at a compounding annual rate of only 9%, you are creating a corpus of almost 28 crores. Okay? Can anybody take a guess as to what that corpus would be if the compounding rate is at about 12%? At 9%, you are at 28 crores in 60 years. What the corpus would be if the time period is the same, but the compounding rate is increased to 12%? 38 crores. Sorry? 80 crores. 42 crores. the figure is 129 crores. Does it make it interesting? Yeah? So, what I would suggest is, if there is a baby born in any one of your family at any point in time, please advise the parents to start an SIP for 10,000 rupees. And the baby is sorted for this life. Touch wood. Another example, and this is the lost compounding opportunity. Again, I'll come to how compounding works. The lost compounding objective, you look at the period of 30 years from the age 30 to 60. Supposing somebody decides that, okay, I'm now 30, now I have to start investing, and he or she thinks that at about 60 I'm going to superannuate, and I'm looking at 30 years in between, investment of the same amount of 10,000 rupees per month, compounded at 9%, you reach a corpus of 1.83 crores. What was the amount when you let the money compound for 60 years? At 9%? 28 crores, right? And look at this amount here, 1.83 crores. And if you look at 12%, this works to 3.49 crores. What was the amount when we did it for 60 years? 129 crores, right? So compounding works when you give time. So the earlier you start, the more time you have, and therefore compounding. And then another thing, when you look at a corpus, which is a meaningful corpus, compounding on that becomes even bigger. I'll come to another illustrative example for that. Okay? So we need to give time to money to grow itself. And just to give you, just to tell you that, 12% is not a figure that is, out of this world. I'm giving you a figure which is not possible. The markets, by their own, over the last 45 years, from 79 to 2005, over the last 45 years, have given a compounded annual average return of 15.01%. Okay? So the market, simple markets, all of you would be born post 2000? Yeah? So if you take another 20 years before that, the markets have given 15%, which is almost 654 times the money has been generated over the last 45 years. So time is a very, very important factor in helping you to create wealth, is the point that I'm trying to make here. What is the cost of delay? Another subjective example. Let's look at a retirement corpus of 1.5 crores, which will be compounded at 12%. These are illustrative examples again. And you look at a start date of 25 years, a SIP start date. Everybody is aware what is an SIP? Systematic investment plan. This is a feature that is given by mutual funds, any mutual fund, to invest regularly into a scheme, into a mutual fund scheme. Let's say the skip start age is about 25 years. Investment required to get to 1.5 crores is about 2,309 rupees. Every 5 years you delay. You go to 30 years, you start, 35, 40, 45 you start. To get to the same level of 1.5 crores, your investment amount, your SIP amount almost doubles. Every 5 years you delay, your investment amount, your SIP amount sort of doubles. So that is the cost of delay that impacts your wealth creation over a period of time. So every delay of 5 years, the SIP amount doubles up. Another example. Now let's say Mr. Ramesh started investing when he was 25, and he invested 15,000 rupees at, let's say, a compounding return of 10% for 5 years, for till about 60 years, which is about 35 years. He generated a corpus of 9.6 crores. Okay? He generated a corpus, retiral corpus of 9.6 crores. Mr. Suresh did the same amount, but he started when he was 45, 20 years later. What is the final corpus he generated? About 75 lakhs. So he's minus 9 crores because he started late by 20 years. Right? So again, an example to highlight how starting early is a huge benefit in terms of your wealth creation journey. Another example, Mr. Suresh says, yes, I'm 45, I've started earning more, so let me increase my investment amount. I'm not going to put only 15,000 rupees. I'm going to put more than double, which is 35,000 rupees as an SIP. But I have the same amount of time, right? I'm going to retire in 60, so 15 years. I invest 35,000 rupees, still my retiral corpus reaches 1.75 crores, which is still less by about 7.8 crores had I started with a lesser SIP amount 20 years before, right? So I hope I have reiterated the point of time, giving investment time to grow, to create your surplus. Another example of how to create a meaningful surplus, and this is a tool that is given to investors in mutual funds, which is called a step up, right? You are clear about SIPs, systematic investment plan. You have something called a step it up. I'll give you an example. Now we have a lady by the name of Alicia, started at about 20 years of age, doing a SIP amount of 5,000 rupees, generates 46 lakhs of corpus at the age of 40. So she invested for 20 years and made 46 lakhs, and the compounding rate is again 12%, okay? We have Sharan, who started 5 years later, did the same amount, but his corpus is almost half, right? Just a period of 5 years, and his corpus is reduced to half what the example in the first case was. Mr. Vaibhav started less than another 5 years delayed, tried to increase his corpus to double the amount, still his corpus is less than half of that what Alicia generated, right? So even if you start late or you increase your amount, both ways you are not getting to the same degree of corpus that the first example gave you. There's another one which is called Ishita, who started at the same age as Alicia, 20 years of age. She started with the same SIP amount of 5,000 rupees, but the change that she did was that she added 1,000 rupees every year to that SIP amount till about 40 years of age, and her corpus at the age of 40 reached what? 1 crore, right? So who's the most intelligent of all, right? Time, step it up, just 1,000 rupees. Whether you do a business, whether you are working, you would have annual increments. Please ensure that is spent judiciously by investing incremental amounts into your investment plans, right? So that is the message here. Power of compounding, I messaged this. I told you about the power of compounding. Mr. Albert Einstein, famous scientist, said compounded interest is the 8th wonder of the world. One who understands it, earns it. One who doesn't, pays for it. One who doesn't understand what compounding is, pays for it. It's a loss for that individual. How does it? Let's play a game, okay? Now, supposing I ask each one of you to ask your parents to give you 1 rupee as pocket money on day 1 of the month, okay? Got it? 1 rupee, first day of the month. Every day, double that amount. So second day you get 2 rupees, third day you get 4 rupees, okay? How much will you make at the end of 31 days? Any guesses? Any guesses? 10 lakhs? 1 crore? Any takers for 1 crore? 10 crores? Everybody understood the question? 20 crores? Yeah? How many for 20 crores? 30 crores or more? How many for 30 crores or more? Okay, that's it. 30 crores or more. It's not a small amount, huh? How much will you get? You will get 107 crores at the end of the 31st day if you start with 1 rupee at the start of the month. Day 1, 1 rupee. Day 10, 512. Day 15. So this is the power of compounding. Looks good? Yeah? This is the power of compounding that I'm talking about. And this is the magic of power of compounding. All of us need to understand this in our investment journey, because this is something that will help us create a surplus. Another game, I think all of you would have heard about this game sometime or the other. This is this famous game wherein, you know, the Nawab said, I'll give you one, one of the courtiers of the Nawab said, give me one gold coin on the chessboard and double it till I reach to 64th, you know, the 64th square. And what is the Nawab agreed? He said, I have lots of gold to give you, right? What happened to the Nawab? Right, sorry? More than bankrupt, right? More than bankrupt. This guy ended up giving, you know, this figure is something which is very difficult to read out. It's actually 1,84,476 lakh trillion gold coins, right? And this 1,84,467 trillion gold coins, where 1 trillion is equal to 1 lakh crore by itself. So that is the power of compounding, right? So it's not bankrupt. I mean, he would have, you know, lost a lot more. So again, coming back to the main factor about compounding is this time. How much time are you giving your investments to grow? How much time are you giving a meaningful corpus to grow? Because to get to a meaningful corpus, you need time. And then to get to that meaningful corpus to compound, you need again time. So time square is what you need to be working on. Again, as I mentioned, simple, you know, last 45 years, the markets have given 15% CAGR. So these are not numbers that we are trying to give, which are absolutely out of the world. These are very, very realistic numbers that we are having. Inflation. So this is the one that does what? What does inflation do? I mentioned this earlier. Let's see how many of you were listening to me. What does inflation do? Thank you very much. Inflation eats away the money. Like termites eat away wood, inflation eats away money. One has to be very careful about inflation. Inflation reduces purchasing power. How many of you have seen this 5 paise coin, 10 paise coin? So good that you have seen, because, you know, after a short while, I don't think these coins would be in circulation anymore. Right? So all these coins are going to go out of, so the 5 paise, 10 paise, 20 paise, all of them will go out of circulation, because you can't buy anything with it. Some of the faculty members, I think, would have bought toffees for 10 paise, right? 5 paise, but I'm sure none of you would have got toffees for 10 paise, right? So what are the inflations? Our necessities in life, like having a TV, a camera, a phone, or a fan, this is now changed to much higher end gadgets. A TV which used to cost 3,000, 4,000 rupees now costs minimum 50,000 bucks. A telephone which used to be supplied by BSNL or MTNL on rent, now, you know, 50,000 rupees is the base, I think, from where a lot of you would be buying cell phones on, right? 25,000, 50,000 bucks. A small fan will not do. You need to buy air conditioners. So these are all increased expenditures. These are lifestyle increments in necessities which are going to require funds. What is a lifestyle inflation in our material aspirations? Now you have high-end products that are required, whether it is watches, jewelry, bags, you know, fashion accessories, whatever the case may be. Just to give you an example, iPhone was launched when? In 2007. It used to cost about $500, right? The value of a $500 today, iPhone is roughly about 500 bucks if you sell it to the scrap. Had somebody bought shares of Apple for $500 at that point in time in 2007, which was trading at $4 per share, 125 shares would be roughly at about $31,250 or 28 lakh rupees, an increase of about 63 times in US dollars or 112 times in INR. This is also important. 63 times in USD, 112 times in INR. This again is an important factor because you look at currencies, how the currencies have given returns of. That is another aspect to be looked at. Again, if you look at a Maruti car, a Maruti Alto in 2003, cost about 3 lakhs, currently probably would be selling off at about 15,000 bucks, which is a reduction of almost 20 times. Whereas if you look at a Maruti Suzuki share, which was trading at 3 lakhs, would have bought it at 3 lakhs, you could have earned, you could be at roughly about 3 crores as of now in terms of the value of the shares, which is about 103 times. So financial independence, retire early, is what we are all aspiring to. We need to ensure that we plan ourselves. All of you are at a very, very important stage in life. Once you start earning, it is important that you have the necessary skills, aptitude to ensure that you save, invest properly so that you can create a wealth. Some key takeaways from the presentation: beat inflation, invest in growth assets. That's very critical. You need to ensure you can start with as little as 500 rupees a month. SIP is a tool which can give you an investment mechanism for as little as 500 rupees per month. Invest early. I think I have made that point very clear. Idle money means nothing. Don't keep money idle, keep investing. Invest with a plan. Invest in goals. Liquidity matters. What is in your control, what is easy to sell. Please ensure that you have the right asset class to your investments, because a lot of times we buy assets which may not be liquid, which may not be easy to handle. That will be creating a problem for us only. Also, the power of compounding, the eighth wonder of the world, is something that one needs to take care of. Thank you for being a patient audience, and all the very best to all of you.
थैंक यू सो मच. कितना मज़ा आया. और कौन कौन अब सपने देख रहा है 1000 crores 100 crores बनाने के? जोश मुझे कम लग रहा है, पता नहीं क्यों. क्या हुआ? ब्रेकफास्ट अच्छा नहीं मिला या जल्दी कॉलेज आने के लिए बोला है टीचर्स ने? जल्दी कॉलेज आने के लिए बोला है. कोई बात नहीं, टीचर्स हैं यहाँ पे. हमारे साथ टीचर्स भी हैं और स्टूडेंट्स भी हैं. और एक काफ़ी ज़्यादा फेमस कोट है: The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. ये totally relate होता है जो अभी हमने सीखा कि आपको क्यों जो investment है वो अपने early stages में start कर देनी चाहिए. अब आपके भी यहाँ पे काफ़ी सारे questions होंगे कि मेरे पास तो पैसे ही नहीं है, investment कहाँ से करूँ? SIP के लिए क्या मैं पॉकेट मनी लूँ, किस तरीके से बैलेंस करूँ, अभी नया iPhone 17 लूँ या मैं किसी म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट करूँ? काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं, किस तरीके से बैलेंस किया जाए. इन सभी चीज़ों के अब हम आंसर करने वाले हैं. और इस सेशन में वंस अगेन मैं सिद्धार्थ को स्टेज पे बुलाना चाहूँगी. और साथ ही साथ हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं यहाँ पे UTI म्यूचुअल फंड से नितिन जी प्लीज़ कम ऑन स्टेज. और जो भी आपका क्वेश्चन है वो आप यहाँ पे पूछ सकते हैं, लेकिन सवाल आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ से नहीं, आपकी फिनेंशियल लाइफ से रिलेटेड होना चाहिए. प्लीज पुट योर हैंड्स टुगेदर एंड आपके जो भी सवाल है आप इन दोनों हस्तियों से पूछ सकते हैं. सिद्धार्थ, कल जैसे आपने प्रेजेंटेशन दी, आज प्रेजेंटेशन दी, काफ़ी सपने मेरे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं. वो जो अमाउंट है उसको ग्रैब करने के लिए कि हाँ. और आई होप कि काफ़ी सारे स्टूडेंट्स के काफ़ी सारे क्वेश्चंस यहाँ पे होंगे कि किस तरीके से जो अभी हमने केवल प्रेजेंटेशन में देखा है उसको एक रियलिस्टिक हम वे दे सके, किस तरीके से ये सारी की सारी चीज़ें हो सकती है. तो काफ़ी सारे स्टूडेंट्स के क्वेश्चंस मेरे पास ऑलरेडी आ गए हैं. एक बार मैं वो निकाल लेती हूँ और इसके अलावा जो जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो भी अपने सवाल पूछ सकते हैं. सबसे पहले Ahana. Do we have Ahana? Yeah.
Good afternoon. So, as a first-time investor, like who's very new to all these concepts, so what would you say is a practical way to shortlist your funds, like without getting overwhelmed and confused?
Okay, so good, interesting question, because I think that pertains to all the entire audience. All of you would be first-time investors. The first and foremost thing that one needs to look at is set a goal. Okay? What are your goals? Investment goals are very important. Because once you have a goal, then you will have a step-by-step approach as to how to achieve that goal. Now, in investments, what we try to break up these goals are into short, medium, and long term, right? Now, depending on the tenure of the goal, let's say you want to, let's say a short-term goal of you want to buy a device, okay? You want to buy a high-end device in the next 12 months. You may want to buy a car over the next 5 years. You may want to buy a house over the next 10 years, right? So these are examples of short, medium, and long-term goals. Once you have these goals in place, you will very easily identify the products that fit into these goals, right? Because each of the products that mutual funds or other asset classes have, there are various parameters with respect to risk, with respect to returns that one needs to keep in mind while looking at the investment. So these goals are very important. First step is to identify goals. That brings in a degree of discipline as well. Because once you have identified a goal, you will work towards that goal, right? So that will give in the discipline. So I think what is important, identify your goal. Your products will be clear once you identify a goal, and then ensure that you are investing in a disciplined manner.
And just to add, so there are many products available in the market. Some are simpler products, some are complex products. So as a beginner, it's easy to start with a simpler product. So yeah, that's the right way to start.
Well, आगे बढ़ते हैं and Mahesh Babu. Do we have Mahesh Babu over here? Yeah.
So my question is that how can a first-time investor avoid common mistake of chasing short-term firms?
Short-term?
Funds.
Short-term funds?
Yeah. While choosing the fund, sorry.
So you mean to say funds with high returns in the short term?
How can a first-time investor avoid a common mistake of chasing short-term returns while choosing funds?
So I think the best metric to look at is the chart we had shown in the presentation. 45 years, the market has given 15% CAGR in terms of returns. Last 3 years was an exceptional period where you saw 30%, 40% returns in a year. But over long term, this is the return which market has given. So you should keep that in mind. Things, basically, it averages out over a period.
Yeah, and so, fundamentally, just take out the notion of short-term returns, right? Don't chase short-term returns, right? Because that entails a very high degree of risk, which only professionals are advised to take. When we are looking at basic investing, we are looking as, investors to generate long-term corpus. Please avoid the concept of making money in a very short term, right? Because there will be a lot of enticements that you will get, and it's very easy to fall into those gaps.
और rich बनना आसान होता है, लेकिन wealthy बनना, it takes a lot of time. Yes. Moving forward, do we have Avishkar?
So good afternoon, sir. Seeing the latest trends of AI as well in the rapid growth of finance and other markets, I would like to ask that do you see AI and other robo-advisors replacing the human fund advisors who are currently working?
So this answer will be biased because this is directly hitting me. So we also trying to find use cases where we can leverage technology, AI, different models, but that is more as a tool to help us do our work more productively. See, it can analyze data, it can give you, based on past trends, some recommendations, but there are many things which come with experience, which are more emotional, which are more quality, things which come with experience, right? You have seen those companies for many years, you have seen a market over many years, and you have to make a decision at that point of time. So just the past data won't help you. These AI models work on past data, what you feed them. So what input goes in, the outcome comes out. So the experience layer or the experience quality or the subjective inputs which go into it, those are the things which can come from human. So maybe AI can be a good tool to assist us, But at this point of time, we don't think that it can replace us.
Yeah, and I'd like to add something here. You can sit down. So, touch and feel is extremely critical. Now, just to give you an example, had this been an online session, I don't think the touch and feel that we are able to give right now, the connect that we are having right now, it was possible. And if you look at a doctor, right? And now supposing there's a patient, you have these reports of a patient, the blood reports come in, right? And nowadays what we do, we send it on WhatsApp to a doctor, and the doctor says, okay, fine, and take these medications. But in reality, a patient's age, gender, whether from northern part of the country, Punjab, or from Tamil Nadu, weight, height, all that matters. So a touch and feel of a patient is very critical to ensure that you have the absolutely right medication prescribed. So while these are tools to enhance productivity, analyze data, and we are having products coming into the markets which are using a lot of data, right? But the final, experience of a fund manager, knowing the nuances of the markets is very critical when we develop a product.
आविष्कार, एआई से रिलेटेड हमारे इस पूरे लाइनअप में एक सेशन भी है जहाँ पे बून और बेन आपको बताए जाएंगे, सो प्लीज सिट टाइट एंड उसके ऊपर भी आप उस टाइम पे सवाल कर सकते हैं. मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, उदय, डू वी हैव उदय? या.
As in India or around the world, the cyber security threats are increasing, and we can see many literate people also falling for these cyber security threats. How safe is for us young investors to invest in these online digital platforms?
So all this online first companies, they have a decent cybersecurity framework. So they use many third-party software to protect the data of the users. But nothing is 100% foolproof. So even large companies, you can see Closer Home, JLR had one issue, Walmart had some issues. So companies have seen issues in the past, the best of the companies. So nothing can be foolproof in this digital world. But most of these companies are using third-party, best of the class softwares to protect the data.
Okay, let me ask a counter question to the entire audience. All of you have mobiles? All of you are on Instagram, Facebook, right? How many of you are online right now, logged into Instagram, Facebook, mails? You've not logged down. All of you are logged in? All of you would be logged in. Have you ever logged out, taken the precaution to ensure once you are online on any platform, after that you log out from all devices? All of you would be logged in, right? And so cyber security, a lot of it is dependent on us. We need to take the precautions. We need to ensure that we log out. That's the number one security that all of us need to have as a discipline. So while platforms are there, they may, they will protect you to a large extent, but it is also our responsibility to ensure that we are taking precautions. We cannot be careless. It's not left on the, platforms.
That's why precaution is always better than cure. Next, do we have Sahana?
So good afternoon. My question to you is, how can gamification and app-based learning be used to make financial literacy more appealing to Gen Z?
Okay, so good. I mean, it's a good question, but so if you look at rewards mechanisms, gamification, financial literacy, you can. But I think that is predominantly why one of these sessions are conducted in universities and colleges. I think it is the financial literacy for sure has to be very is a very important topic and has to be percolated to everybody who's getting into the workforce. Now, how much would gamification help? Definitely it would help if we have reward points, maybe in your curriculum, in your KRS, because when we work, we have something called KRS, right? And whenever we have KRS, we work doubly better for it, right? So yes, it can help, definitely can help. but it is up to the universities, colleges, because financial literacy has to start at the education level, right? And I think this is where, you know, maybe courses can be incorporated. You may get additional points for your, you know, scores for attending financial literacy classes, because these are life skills and are very important.
Well, काफ़ी सारे क्वेश्चंस जो हैं वो हमें वर्चुअली भी आए हैं. नितिन, वन क्वेश्चन फॉर यू जो काफ़ी सारे स्टूडेंट्स का मैं देख रही हूँ कि आ रहा है. फॉर एग्जांपल कि माय मंथली सैलरी इज़ अराउंड 30,000, जिसमें से मुझे 20,000 तो महीने का भाड़ा देना है. मुंबई में अगर मुझे रहना है, दिल्ली में या बेंगलोर में मुझे रहना है, और 10,000 रुपये में से 5,000 रुपये मेरे बच्चों की स्कूल फीस जाती है और 5,000 का राशन भराना है. वहाँ पे सेविंग कैसे करें?
Difficult question, but so there's a concept called delayed gratification. So although some expenses are very necessary, which you have to incur, in this example there is no scope because 30,000, 20,000 and 5,000, remaining 5,000 also goes for grocery. But I'll take more practical example where let's say someone is earning 40,000 and 30,000 goes into all the expenses and 10,000 remains where the person has an option to either spend it for some new clothes or some appliance, or save it and maybe buy that clothes a year later or 2 years later. So that's the delayed gratification where you're delaying your desires, not the necessities. So I think that's the way you can delay some of your desires and start saving at the early stage.
You want to add something?
Yeah, so I think very pertinent question. I think when we start off, it is very difficult to save money. But that is where discipline and, as what Nitin said, you know, ensuring that you do not look at instant gratification comes in, right? Money is hard earned. One needs to realize that. One needs to respect money. कहते हैं, you know, सरस्वती की respect करोगे तो, sorry, लक्ष्मी की respect करोगे तो you will get Lakshmi. You should be prudent in your decisions to look at, you know, spendings. And I'm sure you will find a way out to save and invest for sure. There's no doubt about it. There are ways and means to invest as well.
Right. और इसी के साथ ये एग्जाम्पल मैंने कल भी दिया था कि नीड और वांट का, कि अभी आप जो फ़ोन चला रहे हो दैट मे बी आईफोन 6, 7, 8 और 9, बट वो आपकी नीड है फ़ोन चलाना फॉर डेली डे टू डे यूज़, बट आईफोन 17 प्रो लेना इज़ योर वांट. तो नीड और वांट में आपको एक डिफरेंस जब समझ में आ जाएगा तो आपकी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट साइकिल है वो आपकी अच्छी हो जाएगी. थैंक यू सो मच नितिन, थैंक यू सो मच सिद्धार्थ ये सारी जानकारी देने के लिए, एंड प्लीज थैंक हिम विद बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज. इसी के साथ आप तो हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं और काफ़ी सारे क्वेश्चंस जैसे कि मैंने मेंशन भी किया कि वर्चुअल प्लेटफॉर्म से भी आते ही जा रहे हैं. वहाँ पे भी काफ़ी सारी जो ऑडियंस है हमारे साथ जुड़ गई है, इसलिए उनका भी एक बार फिर से UTI म्यूचुअल फंड इन पार्टनरशिप विद CNBC आवाज़ प्रेजेंट्स उड़ान में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. अब हम एक काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन जो है, आप सेशन बोलिए, ये आपका फेवरेट सेशन हो सकता है, वो बोलिए. आपके जो प्रिंसिपल हैं हमेशा आपसे सवाल करते होंगे, लेकिन आज हम अपने चैनल से CNBC आवाज़ से एक एंकर को लेके आए हैं जो आज आपके प्रिंसिपल से सवाल करेंगे. काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है सेशन. हमेशा आप चाहते होंगे लेकिन कर नहीं पाते होंगे, लेकिन आपके बिहाफ में हम करेंगे. और जितनी भी उनकी लाइफ की जर्नी है, एक्सपीरियंसेस है, वहाँ से आप क्या सीख सकते हैं, ये काफ़ी ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है. ये हम यहाँ पे डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. और इस कॉन्वर्सेशन के लिए हमारे साथ है डॉक्टर KN सुब्रमण्या, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ RV कॉलेज ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग, एक ऐसे लीडर जिन्होंने इस इंस्टीट्यूशन को एक्सीलेंस और इनोवेशन के साथ गाइड किया है. और इसी के साथ मैं CNBC आवाज़ से विपिन भट्ट जी को भी एक बार वापस से स्टेज पे वेलकम करना चाहूँगी. Please welcome them with big round of applause.
थैंक यू कंचन. कंचन ने पहले ही इतना समा बांध दिया है कि बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग एक चर्चा होने जा रही है. सो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट आई वांट टू से समथिंग. सो व्हेन आई अराइव्ड हियर इन मॉर्निंग आई have a chance to meet Principal Sir. So usually you saw the placard in my hands for all the sessions, but usually we send questions to the people before going into any discussions. These are formal questions, basically just to get an understanding of what we are about to discuss or something. But I swear, I never goes with those questions. They are just in my hand, but I ask what I want and how the discussion flows. But today, and in this discussion, I'm going word by word what the questions are here on my hand. Why? I'm telling you. Because when I was talking to the sir, I come to know that he's such a deep ocean of knowledge that I can't take a risk of asking him any question. Yes, indeed. He has such a big platform of knowledge, or whatever I can say, any adjective I can use, kind of experience he have, that I can't just waste 20-25 minutes in asking any question which comes to my mind. Though those questions will be good questions, but still, since I have prepared few questions which through which I try to dig out more and more meaningful things out of that. So sir, I will go word by word with those questions, and in between, if I want to ask you anything, so please give me a pardon. Okay, so first is about leadership and vision. So as a principal, how do you ensure that RBC's leadership philosophy remain grounded and in ethical principle while fostering an innovative and ecosystem that prepares students for future disruption like AI and sustainability?
Okay, good afternoon to all of you. So first of all, let me thank CNBC for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts of over 35 years of experience I have in typically higher education in the country. So first of all, RV College of Engineering per se is a 60 years old institution, and this has been built on a lot of values, because the whole trust and the school system was started by a freedom fighter and a school teacher. So obviously in 1940s it was started, and a strong value systems have been built. So this system may not depend on the individuals who come and go here, because a strong system has been built from the primary education to the secondary education to the tertiary education. So we have totally 27 institutions across the trust, and we have more than 30,000 students, maybe around 3,000 faculty, and lot of people have worked. They are working now, future people are going to come. So in that way, whole trust itself depends on the lot of value system, and it has been built on a philanthropic concept. So obviously, individuals, if they try to do some small mistakes also, system is always greater than individuals, and it is going to correct the system and the individuals also. So in that way, the leadership style has been borrowed from the past also, because we had very good leaders in the institution. So I may not do mistakes there. So in that way, the strong value system, what is built across over the period of time, has been definitely taken into consideration. So while saying that, obviously, you know, there is a lot of transformation happening in the higher education. Maybe the kind of transformation which you are seeing in the last 5 to 6 years, just after COVID, I think people would have taken more than 20 years prior to COVID. So I think the time frame what we talk about is very, very fast today. So obviously, the question comes that whether the same leadership what people were doing before, will it hold good today? And the same vision what has been said before, will it still hold good? I think these are the two questions to be answered. Fine? So as you know that here the people who are all sitting are Gen Z. I think we are talking about most about them, where they want an instant gratification in whatever they do. Okay? Whereas the people sitting in the front who are of our generation are a little bit slow paced, but we have experience. As Nelson Mandela tells that the youngsters are fasters, but elders know the way. Fine? So in that sense, maybe handling the Gen Z is one of the most important things you have to keep track, and they become the center focus in while I'm setting any leadership style in the institution or vision for the institution. So in that way, keeping, let us say people are talking about AI. So you have to definitely move in the path of AI. That does not mean leave the moral values. So I think these are the two faces of the same coin. You have to look into it. So in that way, maintaining the moral, ethical, and the spiritual values as an institution and moving towards AI, I think both is very, very important. I don't think these two are separate. These are the two faces of the same coin. If one fails, it will be difficult to bring the other also. So I feel the total value system becomes very, very important for the long-time sustenance of an institution. At the same time, moving with the times, all these technologies are going to be helpful. So I am sure that with the kind of experience the institution has, we are trying to balance both of them. And many things are work in progress because of the technological changes. But on the other part of the vision and the leadership, I think we have a strong background of doing it.
No, ethical values are no doubt very important. And my second question is that how you create that balance, as you said that this generation is Gen Z and they have a very different kind of a mindset, maybe they have a very different kind of approach towards life, they have a different set of the preferences. They're not like us and the people sitting in the first two rows. So it's very difficult with like teacher who are taughting them have a different kind of a mindset, have a different value system. And these guys have a very different value system which evolved from social media and it got changed on a very everyday basis. How difficult or how easy is to create a balance between those two?
So I think as we were discussing in the morning, we are talking to a generation at the tertiary education. Actually, if you want to make some changes here, some changes should have been made in the primary and the secondary education also. Because today that plays a very, very important role. And in fact, all these people will go through a stage called habit, attitude and behavior. There are 3 stages. I think people are sitting in the front rows, we all have a behavior pattern. A child when it is born, it is habitual. And all these people, are the students sitting here, Gen Z, are in the attitudinal level. Fine? So some things which have not been built as a habit, I think wrong things get carried to the attitude also. So I think that is the state they are into. I think they have to be very, very careful of taking care of that. So what something has done at a habitual level, can I little bit make a change so that my attitude gets set right? And there is no same formula or one formula for all these things. I think every student sitting here has to think on his own, based on what exactly you want to achieve. So I think that's the first thing. So maybe, I don't say we can make a X change here in their attitudinal pattern. We can definitely make a delta X change because other factors are there for this. It could be the parental pressures, the society itself, the way they've been brought up. So there are a lot of stakeholders into this. So we are only one of the stakeholders who are here. So I feel individually they have to realize. Otherwise what happens as a system, if I say I changed all these students here, I think I'll be fooling myself. So it's not possible. So my way of looking at it is every individual, whether it is Gen Z or Gen X, it doesn't matter. I think they should start realizing from internally. We are trying to talk all these things on an external platform, but internally, as long as they can try to set things right, I feel generations doesn't matter according to me, and it could be carried forward.
So sir, what exactly happened in last 10 or 15 years, you can say, even I experienced that, even I think you experienced that, at a level of distraction, any kind of distraction from social media to anything else, has been so much nowadays that it's very difficult to concentrate on a particular thing or to focus on particular aim or to how to deal with that kind of distraction. Even sometimes I feel that it's very difficult. Even the people of my age, when I talk to other people, they say, yeah, there's a lot of change. It's a lot of distraction nowadays and it's very difficult to handle. And then people have mental issues and all of things. These are young kids and they're not mature enough to handle all those things. But at the same time, they're dealing the same situation. So what's the way out, sir?
Very difficult to answer because we have a total of almost around, as on today, around 15,000 students in the campus, including RV University and RV College of Engineering. On an average, if you take 1.5 mobile phone per person, I have almost around 22 to 25,000 mobile phones in campus at any point of time. So obviously, there's a kind of volume we have to handle here. And each student, at least in a city, it is told that they use almost around 5 to 6 hours. They'll be in these gadgets. So it is a typically a NP hard problem, non-polynomial type of a problem. So which is not so easy to solve it as long as we try to dissect it and try to look into it. I cannot look at it as a total gross level and try to solve a problem. So what are things which could be done? The point number 1 could be, this is happening in the education for a long time. I think it's only in India, even before the rules comes, people have already used all these gadgets. Whereas if you take other countries, I think they formulate the rules very thoroughly. For example, we work with German universities, I think no student can send any WhatsApp message to anybody in the campus. There were strong rules. Okay? Here, if I say that, I think people will laugh at me. So that's the way. I think we have to work out on the rules part as a country. We have some IT policies and things of that sort, but I don't think still it has been percolated to the education. As long it has to be done. So obviously, what we have to do is, we also have to get adjusted to that generation, because youth is always the power for the future. So what could be done is, maybe during the active period of in the college, so we can try to incorporate that as a part of our academics itself. Instead of telling, in fact, let me tell, in our college 10 years back, we had mobile lockers were there. Okay, so that means when they go to the class, they are supposed to keep it and then go inside. Fine, we have done all those exercises in the last decade. But today, recently, I sold out all those lockers as a scrap material. So we find it is not possible. So today, as long as they're sitting in the class and they don't use mobile, I'm very happy. I think we have come to that situation. So, but what could be done is, we can definitely make use of this and ask the students, instead of telling, okay, it's useless, you don't use mobile, I feel it is better, ask the questions, ask them to search. See, if I ask a question today to the students, how many of you see nobelprize.org website? 99% of the people would not have seen. It is one of the best websites anybody can look into in the education field itself. But majority would not have seen. So maybe can I challenge them in asking them to look in through their mobile, so that the learning also happens. I think we have to change our way of looking into the things, instead of blaming the generation. So make it as a part of your whole education system itself, so that they'll use it for a useful purpose.
Okay. अच्छा, मैंने शुरू में बोला था कि I'm referring to my cards, and I think you saw that I'm not referring to my cards anymore, because एक क्वेश्चन के बाद ही मुझे समझ में आ गया कि मजा नहीं आ रहा है. So now the questions are coming from my heart, and equally the sir is enjoying, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Now switching the talk to the some present. Say, I can't say threat is a word, but yes, there is a challenge, as you said, AI. Now, people like Bill Gates and many other people start saying that after 5 years or maybe 10 years, we don't need doctors, we don't need engineers maybe. The scenario will become completely changed. How challenging is that? How real is that?
Yeah. So I think in the previous speaker was telling AI is a boon as well as a bane. So let me tell the technology part of it. As on today, if you take, we are into the age of AI. That means what all the things AI is doing as of now is operational in nature. Okay? If you ask any top leader, are you using AI to take a decision of 10,000 crores? I don't think he's using that. But can you ask, instead of the people, 100 people doing the job, can you have AI? I think that is going on. That's what we are seeing. And the changes happening, let us say some company removes 12,000 people. In fact, other day we had one discussion from the BPM of Infosys. They say across the world, they have 58,000 people working in all these business process management activities. And now they're slowly looking into having the processes automated to make it AI. And he was telling that maybe if they implement for all their customers across the world, in another 2 to 3 years, 58,000 people would not be needed. I think 3,000 people can do that job. That threat is anyway there for the operational kind of a job or a lower kind of a job. So that is going to happen. I think we have to be very ready for that. Even when computers came, people were talking about it. In 1990s, when computers were introduced, people were saying that, okay, there'll be no jobs. But I don't agree that. I think we have more jobs in Bengaluru only in software today. So this is only people who cannot change, who cannot update their skill, keep talking. A person who is ready to change the skill, there's always a job for everybody. I think that's point number one. Now, AI is definitely having, as on today, the collective intelligence of the human beings is much more than the collective intelligence of the machines. They are expecting another 3 to 4 years, a generative AI is going to come. I think generative AI has already started coming, but I don't think it has percolated throughout the market. We are still in the growth stage in those areas. So when generative AI comes, it is predicted that the collective intelligence of the people is going to become the collective intelligence of the human beings. It is going to be equal. Okay? Then another 7 years, they're saying that a super intelligence is going to come. That is by 2050 they were telling. Now they have brought down the time, they say it's by 2040. And they say that the collective intelligence of the machine would be more than the collective intelligence of the human beings. we are seeing this now, but this has been predicted by Alvin Toffler, who has written a book on future shock. In 1960s itself, that by 2050, the collective intelligence of the machine would be much more than the collective intelligence of the human being. This has been told 40 years back only.
I think he says the final one will be the God AI.
Correct.
When AI become a God.
Correct. In fact, somebody says it may be Kalki also. Correct. I think that will be the end of the world. So that's what people say. So in that way, when things are happening, I'm sure we have to be prepared. I think that's the only way we have to look into it. As of now, in fact, they say that in another 7 to 8 years, the first sector which would be affected is education only. Now, as of now, in college, we have something called as a 1:20 student-faculty ratio. I think if the generative AI comes, they have predicted it's going to become 1:200. So that means one faculty can handle 200 students in a hybrid mode, online and offline put together. And they are told if the super intelligence comes, they say it is 1:2000. So they say that in another 7 to 8 years, I think education, traditional education institutions are going to have a hit if you don't try to improve upon that. So that's on one side. So the positive side of it. The negative side of it, let us come to it, what AI cannot do. I think slowly, a lot of research work is showing that because of the AI, there are a lot of disadvantages which are happening, that the cognitive abilities of the individuals are going to go down. I think that is a very threat in a long term. Short term, all of you may be feeling that it is giving a lot of things, but in a long term, I think our generation used to remember 100 phone numbers. We didn't have any gadgets. But today, because of all these gadgets, my phone number itself, I may forget sometimes. We have come to that level. That means the cognitive ability, if it goes down, then you'll have a problem. In fact, there is a center called the Consciousness Center in Nimhans, Bengaluru. They made a study recently stating that there is a fluid inside the brain which takes care of the cognitive abilities, and they say that fluid is going to become zero when you start using all these things forever. Then you become a slave to the machine. So that is one threat. People say that cognitive abilities are going to be affected. So maybe we have to be very, very careful. I'm sure Indians are always smarter. They may not go to the extremes. When they come to know that something wrong is happening, they will again come back. So in that way, we should not feel too much, but as long as you can try to balance your cognitive abilities and the use of it. And the other disadvantage as far as the technology is concerned, we were again speaking in the morning, that if I want to ask, explain Newton's law, if I want to put it in the Google, I ask, the unit of energy spent is only 1 unit. But if I ask that in a chat GPT, for every 1 unit, 13 units of energy is spent. Because it is going to process a lot of things through a lot of data. So they have already predicted that by 2050, if we keep on using GPUs like this, I think we will not have power also. We don't have electricity at all. So I think that is the other danger which people are talking about. I hope from time to time, a lot of other good technology keeps coming so that we don't go to the extreme.
I think Ankushji is listening all those things. He's our next guest for the next session, which is based on AI only. So Ankushji, you had a lot of things to be answered here on this platform. Right. Before I conclude, sir, one important question, and I just need a short answer of this, that on many platforms, it was said that Indian entrepreneurs, especially the tech entrepreneurs, are not generating the kind of entrepreneurship which we saw in like country like US or any other country. They made Google, they made Facebook, or something which is path breaking. We are just aggregator kind of companies. We are riding a taxi, startup, make you shopping a kirana thing on your startup. So the thing is that is our curriculum, is a study curriculum is not of that quality, that we are not so innovative in doing a kind of innovation what we saw in other countries, kind of startup coming there. Is the lack of, it's a kind of a curriculum we are lacking in, or there is something else?
See, first of all, what happens if you take entrepreneurship, it is a mindset. I think that's the fundamental thing. And at least in this part of South India, we feel that we are all very comfortable working for others. I think that has been there for a long time. And even our parents, if I ask somebody here, how many want to become an entrepreneur, they may be ready. Then they go back, ask their parents, they may not accept. I think that's the first family kind of a thing which you have to look into the entrepreneurial skills. The second part is that, obviously, our education system was not tuned to this kind of a thing for a long time. because we followed a mechanized education system which was totally memory based, and it was not happening. But astonishingly, I find even in our college only, in 1960s and 70s, people who have studied, there are no campus placements during those times. You have to search for your job. I think that's the time we have found more entrepreneurs from our college than today. So necessity is the mother of invention. But today you say that 350 companies come to our college and say you become an entrepreneur. I think people take an easy path. I'm getting 30 lakhs, 25 lakhs. Why should I struggle? So I think we have to balance these two things. The placement job giver versus job seeker attitude is one. And I'm sure with national education policy, I think these entrepreneurial things have been taken very, very seriously, taken by all the institutions in the country. And obviously in Bengaluru, I'm sure people sitting here will have a lot of avenues to work in a startup because it is a startup capital. So I think things are slowly changing it. I think it is not related to innovation at all. If you take a startup in Stanford also, there are a lot of Indians there. Okay? Maybe the ecosystem was not provided here. Now the ecosystem is coming up. I'm sure that we are going to have a lot of good entrepreneurs like Google. Maybe next 5 to 10 years, they've already predicted. And I hope it is going to happen in India.
Hopefully so, sir. And I have few more questions, but time does not permit to go beyond this. But I think these kids are in the very safe hands. And yes, I wish a very bright future for you in the leadership of Principal, sir. And I wish you all the very best. And thank you very much, sir, for this insightful talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subramanya sir, for sharing your wonderful and definitely inspiring insight. मजा आया? अपने ही टीचर थे, थोड़ा जोश और लेके आओ. आविष्कार अभी एक टॉपिक के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, दैट इज अबाउट एआई, जिसके बारे में हमने बोला था कि आगे चल के हम इसके ऊपर बात करने वाले हैं. ये बेसिकली एक ऐसा टॉपिक बन गया है, एक ऐसी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ बन गई है जो आज के टाइम पे मेरी और डेफिनेटली आप लोगों की भी लाइफ का एक इंटीग्रल पार्ट तो बन ही गया होगा. टीचर्स मना करते हैं चैट जीपीटी यूज़ करने से. आवाज़ नहीं आ रही अगेन? यस. उसके पीछे का सबसे बड़ा रीज़न ये है कि हमने अपने खुद के जो एक आइडियाज़ हैं उनको क्रिएट करना बंद कर दिया है. कहीं पे ये हमारे जो प्रोसेस है उसको फासन भी करता है, लेकिन कहीं पे जो हमारी ग्रोथ है उस पे ये एक स्टॉपेज भी बन के आता है. लेकिन एग्जैक्टली करना क्या चाहिए, किस तरीके से इस प्रॉब्लम को हैंडल किया जाए? आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस इस टाइम पे काफ़ी बड़ा पार्ट हमारी लाइफ का बन गया है, जिसको हम एआई के नाम से भी जानते हैं. ये अब सिर्फ एक नेक्स्ट बिग थिंग नहीं है, बल्कि ये ऑलरेडी बदल रहा है हम कैसे जीते हैं, कैसे सीखते हैं और साथ में किस तरीके से काम करते हैं. इनफैक्ट अगर हम बात करें तो एआई ने आज के टाइम पे काफ़ी सारे लोग जो हैं उनको रिप्लेस भी कर दिया है और हमारे काम करने का जो तरीका है उसको एंटायरली बदल भी दिया है. लेकिन असली सवाल ये है कि इंडिया दुनिया भर में किस तरीके से लीड करे अपने खुद के एआई सॉल्यूशन को. और इस कॉन्वर्सेशन को गाइड करने के लिए वंस अगेन प्लीज वेलकम विपिन भट्ट फ्रॉम CNBC आवाज़. और उनके साथ स्टेज पर है एक विजनरी लीडर जो इस एआई रेवोल्यूशन के बिल्कुल फोरफ्रंट पे इस टाइम पे प्ले आउट कर रहे हैं. मिस्टर अंकुश सवरवाल, फाउंडर ऑफ bharatgpt.ai and coreover.ai. Let's welcome them both with a big round of applause.
Thank you, Kanchan, and Ankush के लिए एक बार और ताली बजा दीजिए because he is flying all the way from US and come directly to your campus. I think आप 7 बजे यहाँ पर आए और सीधे यहीं आ गए. So thank you very much, Ankush, for doing all this for us. और बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका. बट अब यहाँ ठंड नहीं है, आप इंडिया में आ चुके हैं. You are in India now. Okay, but in Bengaluru, which has indeed a beautiful weather. Right. तो I think जो प्रिंसिपल साहब से बात हो रही थी उसने हमारी बातचीत का एक बैकग्राउंड तो तैयार कर ही दिया है. सो एआई पे हम ढेर सारी बातचीत करेंगे. विल टॉक अ लॉट अबाउट एआई, बट द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज दैट वो जो डर है, वो जो एक थ्रेड जैसा है जो चारों तरफ इन दिनों एआई को लेके बातचीत होती है, इज इट फॉर रियल? क्योंकि आप तो काम कर रहे हैं, आप तो बना रहे हैं. अच्छा, अंकुश हैज क्रिएटेड भारत जीपीटी. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर अवेयर ऑफ दैट? आवर ओन इंडियन जीपीटी. मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल, राइट. सो इसके अलावा भी अंकुश काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें कर रहे हैं विच आर इंडिजीनियस. जो एक सवाल मैंने प्रिंसिपल सर से पूछा था दैट व्हाई नॉट इन इंडिया, सो यू आर डूइंग दैट. सो a big round of applause for Ankush because he is doing those things in AI which are supposed to be in India, but अभी तक हम उसमें उतना आगे नहीं बढ़ पाए थे. Right अंकुश, तो पहली बात AI is जैसा कि हमारा टॉपिक भी है, is a threat और boon. डरना चाहिए उससे और that will be helpful to us.
हिंदी में इंग्लिश में?
I think audience majority में शायद इंग्लिश में ज़्यादा समझेगी, आप मिक्स करके भी बोल सकते हैं.
I think it's normal to have threats and probably opportunities in life. And if you see why I was in the US, right? So even sometimes I also have vulnerabilities. I also have some kind of threats. I want to uncover them, right? Meeting leaders, meeting the visionaries, meeting my role models there. I want to talk to them. And if there are uncertainties, vulnerabilities, I want to talk them out. I think it's normal to have threats and any apprehensions you have. So now if you ask me whether AI is a threat or opportunity, I think we have to be optimistic, isn't it? So we should always think it's an opportunity. And so far, whatever we have seen, it's more of opportunity than threats. Even if there are threats, they're not for us. Okay, and for you, right? You all are young people. किसी की अगर जॉब चली गई है तो मे बी वो अपने मिड लाइफ में होगा.
Then Ankush, sorry to interrupt you in between. Then why this big leader like Bill Gates and others are keep talking like हमें डॉक्टर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, हमें टीचर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, हमें इसकी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी? ये तो डराने वाली बात हुई ना.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say be efficient, understand this. I have seen that. In fact, this interview is there in Air India's वो जो console system है. I watched that whole with Raj Shamani. He literally did not mean that, right? So हमने उसको since we also had some threat कि हमने उसके ऊपर अपने ऊपर हावी ले कर लिया है. And किसी उसने शायद राज शमानी ने फिर से उनसे पूछा कि can you be successful again if you have to do the same thing in AI? He was doubtful. अगर इतना easy था, अगर doctors भी replace हो सकते हैं, तो फिर Bill Gates भी replace होना चाहिए. So he did not say that, right? So I think it's okay to believe it's easy to be replaceable so that we work hard, get more knowledge and do. See, अगर AI डिपेंडेबल है, मुझे आपको अगर आप सोचो कि कोई भी इन्वेंशन और डिस्कवरी नहीं हुई होती, सिर्फ AI होता, तो क्या एरोप्लेन बन सकता था, क्या व्हील बन सकता था, क्या वैक्सीन बन सकती थी, क्या इंडिया डिस्कवर हो सकता था, क्या जीरो डिस्कवर हो सकता था? आई थिंक द इन्वेंशन एंड डिस्कवरीज विच यू हैव सीन, दे वर विद द क्वांटम लीप. द ओल्ड डेटा वुड नॉट हैव हेल्प्ड. AI क्या करेगा? या तो आपको पुरानी चीज़ें बताएगा या बोलेगा कि ये इन्वेंशन इस फील्ड में हुई है, इस फील्ड में भी हो सकती है, या बोलेगा ये दो इन्वेंशंस हुई हैं, इन दोनों को मिक्स करके बोलेगा एक तीसरी इन्वेंशन कर दो, राइट? तो क्या वो प्लूटो या जुपिटर को या मार्स को ढूंढ पाएगा विद एग्जिस्टिंग डेटा? आर यू विद मी और मे बी आई एम जेट लैग? सो राइट,
एब्सोल्युटली फाइन.
तो जो लर्निंग्स हैं, रिसर्चेज हैं, वो आपको बता देगा. नई रिसर्च करने के लिए आपको असिस्ट करेगा. इट विल हेल्प यू डू थिंग्स फास्टर. नई इन्वेंशन थोड़ी बहुत करेगा, विद द क्वांटम लीप कभी नहीं करेगा. डिस्कवरीज तो करेगा ही नहीं ना. एक हो सकता है एक और अगर सोलर सिस्टम या कोई और अगर सैटेलाइट भी है, तो वो कैसे AI को कैसे पता चलेगा? चैट GPT उसको कैसे बताएगा जब तक हम सैटेलाइट ना भेजे, discover kare? It will help us interpret things faster. I think all onus is on you really to think and do and use all of these as tools. I think we all should be happy like these tools are there to leverage your intelligence more and assist your intelligence more and help you do things more.
तो अंकुश, कैसे समझे हम AI को? फॉर अस मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल हियर और इवन मी, या ये बच्चे टेक्नोलॉजी कॉलेज से हैं तो शायद इनके लिए थोड़ा और अलग होता होगा, लेकिन फॉर मी, फॉर अ कॉमन पर्सन, इट्स लाइक अ चैट GPT. आप जाइए, कुछ टाइप कीजिए, यू गेट एन आंसर. बहुत हुआ तो आप उससे कुछ क्रिएटिव बना लीजिए, कोई वीडियो एडिटिंग कर लीजिए. इज दिट ऑल अबाउट AI और AI हैज सम डिफरेंट मीनिंग जो शायद अभी हम कॉमन लोगों को नहीं पता है?
जो आपने एग्जांपल्स बोली, आई थिंक लो हैंगिंग फ्रूट्स हैं, वो तो आप करो. लेकिन उसका मीनिंग क्या है, तो आई थिंक एवरीवन इज ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट. आई वाज इन द ओपन एआई ऑफिस आई थिंक ऑन फ्राइडे. तो there are many things which we are doing, they know we are doing, and they are not doing. And of course, there are a lot more things which they are doing, we are not doing. तो उनकी अपनी इंटेलिजेंस है, अपना विजडम है, और प्रॉब्लम्स आइडेंटिफाई करने का एपेटाइट बोल दो या समझ बोल लो या नीड बोल लो, right? The kind of problems which we may have or we want to solve, other companies probably don't want to solve. AI is not just about editing videos and all that. It's good, low-hanging fruit. Everyone would need that. But हम जिस circumstances में रह रहे हैं, उसकी problems क्या हैं, वो important क्यों है problem solve करना. अगर हम वो problems अच्छे से ढूंढ लें, मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ idea के पीछे मत भागो. So just identify the problems around you and pick that problem. All of you pick up one, or maybe 2 or 3 people pick one joint problem and try to solve. I'm sure there would be a role of AI to help you solve the problem. AI is not just about what we see, it's just the start. अभी अगर मैंने न्यूज़ देखी कि नाउ अब चैट जीपीटी से आप कॉमर्स भी कर सकते हो, राइट? तो और आप कन्वर्सेशनल पेमेंट्स भी कर सकते हो, राइट? इट वाज अ बिग न्यूज़. आई थिंक दैट वाज लॉन्च ओनली इन इंडिया. इट्स नॉट देयर आउटसाइड इंडिया. इट वाज अ बिग न्यूज़ इन इंडिया. तो आई ऑफ कोर्स आई वाज हैप्पी, वेलकम्ड इट. लेकिन अगर आपको पता है आस्क दिशा, उसमें तो वॉइस कॉमर्स पहले से था. उसमें आई थिंक वी वर द ओनली वन हु हैड डन कन्वर्सेशनल पेमेंट इन कोलैबोरेशन विद एनपीसीआई ऑन आईआरसीटीसी. उसमें एंड टू एंड ट्रांजैक्शन था, है. यू कैन इवन गो एंड टू एंड इवन डू द वॉइस कॉमर्स. तो यू सी दिस काइंड ऑफ इनोवेशन विच वी हैड डन अर्लियर, एंड इट वाज अ नीड फॉर अस, क्योंकि अभी भी इतने सारे एजेंट्स हैं जो वी नीड देयर हेल्प टू बुक द ट्रेन टिकट, एंड वी हैव पीपल 50+, 60+, 70+, इवन दे आर आल्सो एबल टू बुक द ट्रेन टिकट. अभी शायद ट्रेन टिकट चैट जीपीटी पे नहीं आया. तो आई एम सेइंग एवरीवन इज सॉल्विंग सम प्रॉब्लम्स व्हाट दे थिंक दे नीड टू सॉल्व. और बड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं लाइफ में, है ना. अगर इतनी सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, हमें तब भी ट्रैवल करके यहाँ पे आना पड़ता है. अगर आपने वो ऑटोबायोग्राफी ऑफ योगी पढ़ी है, या अगर हम अपने रिलीजियस बुक्स में बिलीव करते हैं, तो इट शुड बी पॉसिबल टू बी एनी प्लेस एट, यू नो, वी कैन बी इन 2 places at one point in time. तो वो भी तो एक प्रॉब्लम है, वो सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं इसे. So I'm trying to say there are a lot of problems. There is a play for everyone to solve. Don't worry about the threats. Just think there are so many opportunities. और जो suppose हमें लगता था कि खाना, just very hypothetical, कि जैसे फूड को उगाना पड़ता है और खाना पड़ता है, वो तो एक प्रॉब्लम है ना. हमें उगाना पड़ता है. कुछ ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो सकता कि एआई बना दे खाना, सिर्फ बिग बास्केट से ऑर्डर ना करके एआई हमें खाना दे दे और हम खा लें. So I'm trying to say there are so many things. Earlier we were thinking these were given, these are the problems which we cannot solve. Now open up your horizons, question everything, and 100 में से शायद 10 नहीं तो 1 maybe जो हमने सोचा था कि वो प्रॉब्लम कभी भी नहीं सॉल्व हो पाएगी, शायद अब की दुनिया में सॉल्व हो जाएगी. because we all are interconnected with social media. Now we have AI, we have access to all the previous books. शायद मुझे लगता है उसी इंटरव्यू में बिल गेट्स बोल रहे थे कि पहले जब मुझे रिसर्च करनी होती थी, मैं पूरे दिन लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के बुक्स पढ़ता रहता था. नाउ इट हैज़ बिकम सो मच ईजी टू गेट एवरीथिंग व्हाटएवर हैज़ हैपेंड इन योर फील्ड. सो आपके लिए रिसर्च करना कितना ईजी हो गया. आई थिंक इट्स ग्रेट टाइम.
बट अभी जैसा प्रिंसिपल सर बोल रहे थे, ही इज़ ऑल्सो मेंशनिंग अ रिसर्च जिसमें ये पता लगा है कि आप जब बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ करते हैं तो आपका पर्टिकुलर जो फ्लूइड है इन द ब्रेन इज़ डिप्लीटिंग, और उससे आपकी जो इफ़िशियंसी है वो नीचे जाती है. तो क्या एज एन ह्यूमन एआई के इंटरवेंशन से हमारी इंटेलिजेंस या हमारी इफ़िशियंसी कम हो रही है? इज़ इट ट्रू?
हाँ, मैंने सर को सुना. सर बोल रहे थे कि आपकी कॉग्निटिव पावर शायद कम होगी. वो इसलिए बिकॉज इफ़ यू आउटसोर्स योर रीजनिंग टू चैट जीपीटी, है ना. मतलब आप सोचो यार, मैं आज कॉलेज जाऊँ ना जाऊँ, आप वो चैट जीपीटी से
जस्ट एक सवाल पूछ लेते हैं ऑडियंस से. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू यूजिंग एआई फॉर योर रेगुलर स्टडीज? सच बताओ, कोई बात नहीं, टीचर्स हैं पर. ऑलमोस्ट एवरीबडी.
सो नाउ इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट कि आप किसके लिए यूज कर रहे हो. आंसर देने के लिए, अगर एग्जाम का क्वेश्चन है या टीचर का क्वेश्चन है तो आपको फार्मूले सारे पता है, आपको थ्योरी ज़्यादा पता है, आप सॉल्व ना करके आप चैट जीपीटी को बोलो कि मुझे आंसर ही दे दे और मुझे काम ही ना करना पड़े, या तो ये एक तरह का यूज़ है। दूसरा ये कि आपको एक नई थ्योरम बनानी है, अब बोलो कि यार इसके अराउंड और कितनी थ्योरम्स है, वो पूछना तो बेटर है ना, बिकॉज इंस्टेड ऑफ यू रीडिंग ऑल द थ्योरम्स यू हैव टू रीड सो मेनी बुक्स। अगर नई चीज़ करने के लिए अगर आपको पुराना डेटा की ज़रूरत है तो यू नीड टू बेटर एक्सेस इट। जो आपका काम है प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने से सिर्फ ये नहीं होता कि आपको वो फार्मूलाज थ्योरम्स पता है कि जिससे आप प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर पाए, तो इट्स एक्सरसाइज टू योर ब्रेन कि वट एवर यू नो यू शुड बी एबल टू अप्लाई इन रियल लाइफ। जब रियल लाइफ में चीज़ अप्लाई करनी है देन यू डोंट आउटसोर्स दैट थिंकिंग एंड दैट स्किल्स टू चैट जीपीटी, राइट? You use only when you have to do something new, do research and get the old data.
तो अंकुश, एक इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन ये होगा, ये सब बच्चे इंजीनियरिंग के हैं और अब तो ये भी है कि कोडिंग की ज़रूरत खत्म हो रही है, यू कैन हैव अ कोडिंग इन अ क्लिक ऑफ अ टाइम एंड एवरीथिंग। हाउ दे विल प्रिपेयर फॉर देयर फ्यूचर बाय द टाइम दे बिकम लाइक आउट इन द फील्ड टू गेट अ जॉब? तब तक बहुत सारी चीज़ें चेंज हो चुकी होगी और आई थिंक एआई उसके पीछे एक बड़ा रीज़न होगा। हाउ दे प्रिपेयर देमसेल्फ एआई पावर्ड?
थैंक्स फॉर आस्किंग दिस। सी मैं जब आपके साथ में टीवी में होता हूँ तो मैं कुछ अलग बोलता हूँ कि ज़रूरत नहीं है कि कोडिंग करो, यू कैन सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज काफ़ी लोग देख रहे होते हैं। तो यहाँ पे मैं वो चीज़ नहीं बोलूँगा क्योंकि यू आर इंजीनियर्स, राइट? हम आरवी इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में, तो सी यू कैन नॉट गेट अवे विद कोडिंग, राइट? तो मैंने कोशिश की है कोडिंग करने पे, कभी पाइथन में जावास्क्रिप्ट आ जाता है तो वो सॉल्व हो जाएगा। मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि जो कोडिंग एफिशिएंटली नहीं लिखी जाएगी, लेकिन यू आर इंजीनियर्स, यू कैन नॉट डू रैपर जॉब, है ना? फ्यू पीपल आर वेरी सक्सेसफुल राइटिंग रैपर्स, राइट? देयर कैन बी फ्लूक्स और लक इन दैट केस। अगर आप इंजीनियर्स हो तो यू हैव टू राइट कोड, तो बिना कोड लिखे भी ऐप बन सकती है, बट वो ऐप चैट जीपीटी या गूगल या और कंपनीज, चलो अभी मैं अपना नाम नहीं लेता, ये बड़ी कंपनीज कुछ ऐसा डिसीजन ले सकती हैं विच वुड वाइप अवे हंड्रेड्स एंड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स। एक एग्जांपल बताता हूँ। मैं ऐसे स्क्रॉल कर रहा था तो मुझे एक रील आया कि इट्स सो इजी टू क्लिक फोटो खींचो खाने का और आपको बता देगा कि क्या कैलोरीज है एंड ऑल दैट। अच्छा आइडिया। मैंने वो फोटो लेके मैंने चैट जीपीटी में डाला था, वो सेम रिजल्ट दे रहा था। So and then now there are a lot of healthcare apps have been created. Even we are also creating for few clients. मुझे लगता है कि these are only short lived, क्योंकि Google डिसाइड कर सकता है, जैसे सर्च है, मैप है, शॉपिंग है, एक टैब आ सकता है हेल्थ का, and anyways Google has successfully delivered there is a MedGema, एक LLM है, वो सिर्फ मेडिकल ओरिएंटेड है, राइट? सो अगर हम कोई ऐसा ऐप बनाते हैं जो पीछे LLM या MedGema यूज़ करके आप बनाते हो कि आप सोचो कि इट्स गुड यूज़र एक्सपीरियंस, तो हम प्रिस्क्रिप्शन वगैरह को रीड कर सकते हैं या रिपोर्ट्स को रीड कर सकते हैं। These kind of apps can be killed any time by just a quick decision by these big companies. You don't have to build those. बाकी लोग बनाना चाहिए. You are engineers, you don't have to build. You have to do something deep, fundamental, deep tech जो जिसको बोलते हैं, so that you, I'm not saying you be the competitor of ChatGPT or VaradGPT. You create something and कई बार होता है कि जैसे मैं बोल रहा था कि लोग बोलते हैं मैंने इसलिए बनाया क्योंकि चैट जीपीटी गलत आंसर देता है, तो आज गलत दे रहा है, वो 3 महीने के बाद, 1 साल के बाद, 2 साल के बाद जब उसके पास डेटा आएगा वो अच्छे से आंसर देगा, राइट? सो यू डोंट बिल्ड बिकॉज दे आर नॉट, यू बिल्ड वेयर you can use these kind of technology and create something maybe robotic, right? Maybe abhi tak ChatGPT robots nahi bana raha. You can do. So then how we differentiate if ChatGPT does good? We are happy because hamare platform mein you can use BharatGPT, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini. But where do people use BharatGPT? Where they have to use secure data, closed AI usko hum bolte hain, right? Unka enterprise ka data unhi ki premise उन्हीं के रहता है, उनके परमाइश के बाहर भी नहीं जाता और इंडिया के बाहर नहीं जाता. अगर चैट जीपीटी यूज़ करते हो तो इट विल गो आउट ऑफ इंडिया. तो So that's how we differentiate. You also have to differentiate in such a way so that all of these technologies help you do better. And you cannot get away with not writing code, even if those code are.
तो ऐसा नहीं कि AI की वजह से इनके करियर खतरे में है.
Of course not.
Okay. My last question, Ankush, is that कि when we talk of AI, where did India stand right now? या अभी भी हमें किसी अमेरिकन कंपनी या चाइनीज कंपनी पे डिपेंड होना होगा?
अभी एक कोई आर्टिकल शायद लिख रहा था कि ये सारी बाहर की कंपनीज इंडिया में आ रही हैं और जो इंडियन कंपनीज हैं वो बाहर बेच रहे. इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थॉट, राइट? सो ऑल द बिग कंपनीज यू नो इन AI, I can name it. OpenAI, Anthropic, शायद Anthropic भी ऑफिस खोल रहा है, OpenAI ने खोल दिया. उनको लग रहा है इंडिया इज अ बिग मार्केट. और जो स्टार्टअप्स या AI कंपनीज इंडिया में हैं एंड दे आर थिंकिंग कि पैसा इंडिया में नहीं है, बाहर है, तो हम कर क्या रहे, राइट? सो माई टेक इज पैसा तो अभी बाहर है, नो डाउट अबाउट, राइट? यू सी द इकॉनमी $30-35 ट्रिलियन और यहाँ पे $4 ट्रिलियन, वहाँ पे पैसा है. लेकिन इंडिया में अपॉर्चुनिटी है, राइट? सो यंग पॉपुलेशन, एवरीवन इज अडॉप्टेबल. सबसे ज़्यादा व्हाट्सएप के यूज़र्स यहाँ, जब ओरकुट था चाहे फेल हो गया, दुनिया ने नहीं यूज़ किया, हमने तब भी किया. सो इफ़ यू क्रिएट सम मीनिंगफुल एप्लीकेशंस, पीपल विल यूज इट. तो आई लॉस्ट माय चेन ऑफ थॉट्स. क्या क्वेश्चन था?
नहीं, मेरा ये कहना था कि इट्स अ जेट लैग नाउ कमिंग आउट. व्हाट आई आस्क कि हमें अभी भी, चाहे वो डीप ओशन, डीप सी, क्या नाम है चाइनीज ऐप का, वो है, या चैट GPT है, या जेमिनाई है, हमें इन पे क्यों डिपेंड रहना है? क्या इंडिया कहाँ खड़ा है आप जैसी कंपनीज, और कितना काम हम अपने यहाँ कर रहे हैं, या कल को इंडिया में से कोई निकल के कोई इंडियन GPT क्यों ना बनाए?
गॉट इट. सी प्रॉब्लम यह है कि आप अच्छे से प्रॉब्लम नहीं ढूंढ रहे हैं हम, राइट? वी आर जस्ट लॉस्ट विद व्हाट अदर्स आर डूइंग. हमारी कंपटीशन, जॉब, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम ढूंढो, उसको सॉल्व करो. चाहे चैट GPT सॉल्व करता है, चाहे गूगल करता है, चाहे भारत GPT करता है, चाहे RV GPT करता है, राइट? आई थिंक फर्स्ट इज व्हाट वी वांट टू अचीव. पर्पस क्या है, क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हो, देन हाउ डज इट मैटर. हमने खाना खाना है, अब खाना सस्ते में खाना है, इजी से खाना है, चाहे इंडिया की कंपनी को दे दे, चाहे बाहर की कंपनी में दे दे. सो आई थिंक important is the purpose, goal, objectives, what you want to achieve, and then whatever is helping you solve it, do it. फिर देखो कि यार चैट GPT बाहर का है, महंगा है, या हमें खुद बनाना चाहिए. That should be the later step. First solve the problem fast, whatever means available to you, and then you try to optimize it.
Right. तो मैं इस नोट पे इस चर्चा को कंक्लूड करूंगा कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल AI से कोई डरने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ एयर दैट AI हमारे जॉब्स खा जाएगा, AI से ऐसा हो जाएगा. AI स्टिल इट्स इवॉल्विंग थिंग, हमें नहीं पता 4-5 साल बाद AI एग्जैक्टली क्या कर रहा होगा, बट डरने की जरूरत नहीं. द सेकंड थिंग इज दैट सिंस वी आर इन द इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज, क्यों नहीं आप में से कोई आगे जाके ऐसा कोई AI जनरेट करे, इधर इट्स LLM या जो भी टेक्निकली आगे की लैंग्वेजेस हैं, क्यों ना वो भारत से निकले, आप में से कोई उसे बनाए. हमारी एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप ऐसे आए, हमारी इंजीनियरिंग ऐसे काम करे, और हमें किसी गूगल या किसी और चीज़ पर उस तरह से डिपेंड ना होना पड़े, बिकॉज इट इज़ हाई टाइम when we should look to ourselves. H1B visa, and I think you are aware of all those things जो भी हो रहा है, and that gives us an opportunity, I think, कि हम अपनी तरफ देखें, अपने टैलेंट पे बिलीव करें, और अपने यहाँ ही अपनी चीज़ों को इंडिजिनियसली डिज़ाइन करें. एंड वी हैव अ बिग पॉपुलेशन टू सर्व. पैसों की कोई कमी नहीं होगी, इतना बड़ा देश है हमारा. विद दैट नोट आई जस्ट वांट टू कंक्लूड दिस. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर लिसनिंग टू अस, एंड थैंक यू अंकुश फॉर कमिंग ऑल द वे फॉर दिस.
Pleasure talking to you on this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sabarbal, and thank you so much, Vipin ji, for sharing this completely एक अलग ही conversation, inspiring thoughts, and exactly showing us what made in India innovation in AI can truly look like. Thank you so much. कैसा लगा ये AI का session? अच्छा था? Teachers आपको कैसा लगा? अब आप रोकेंगे students को? नहीं, प्रोजेक्ट करने के लिए अभी भी मना किया है. प्रोजेक्ट नहीं करना है आपको ऐसे चैट GPT से कि प्लीज गिव मी आंसर ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन, ऐसे नहीं करना है, और गिव मी आइडिया ऑफ नेक्स्ट प्रेजेंटेशन एज वेल. अच्छा लगा? पक्का? कोई सवाल AI को लेके? नहीं है? तो चलिए, काफ़ी सारे इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ें आज हमने यहाँ पे करी है. इसी के साथ आज हम आ गए हैं अपने एंड पे, यानी कि यूटीआई म्यूचुअल फंड प्रेजेंट सीएनबीसी आवाज उड़ान सेशन की हम एंड पे आ गए हैं। एक बड़ा थैंक यू टू सभी स्पीकर्स, साथ ही साथ आप सभी स्टूडेंट्स, टीचर को भी जो इतनी देर तक हमारे साथ बने रहे, जो भी आपकी क्वेरीज थी, और हमारे पार्टनर डेफिनेटली यूटीआई म्यूचुअल फंड को, जिनके सपोर्ट से ये जो इवेंट है इतना ज़्यादा एंगेजिंग हुआ है और हमारे लिए इसको इतना ज़्यादा इंस्पायरिंग बनाया गया है। लेट्स कीप थिंकिंग बोल्डली, ग्रो विद इंटेंट, और हर चैलेंज को एक नई अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरीके से आपको ग्रो करना है और इस चीज़ को बदलते रहना है। थैंक यू एवरीवन एंड हैव अ good afternoon ahead. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Mutual